Hello, Internet. This is Whispering Whim, bringing you yet another grocery haul today. And I don't think I have any intro stuff to say, so we're gonna go ahead and dive right on in. First up, we have a big old bag of rice. We go through a surprising amount of rice. As far as starches go, I think it's one of the ones that's kind of easier on my tummy. So I like rice for that reason. And also I make a lot of sort of Asian fusion inspired type dishes. So, those would feel a little weird if I put them on noodles. Can you imagine stir fry penne? Actually, I can. I can imagine stir fry penne. Might be all right. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue on. We've got some Go-Go Squeeze applesauce. If you've been watching long enough, you might know that this is usually a sign that my show season is starting up. So for my newer friends, I am an arts and crafts professional. I do needle felting as my main medium. And I sell at shows and conventions and craft fairs, although I'm going to be cutting out a lot of the regular kind of normal person craft fairs. They have proven to not really be as worth my time. But anyways, I always pack a lunch because sometimes there's like food trucks and stuff, not always. But packing a lunch is just the safe bet. And I really like the little squeezy Go-Gurts type things. I feel guilty because they're a lot of plastic. Lots and lots of plastic. But the little twist top can be twisted back on. If you start sipping on it and the customer walks up, you can just close it back up. So that's one of my favorite convention treats. Following that, we have some good old Triscuits. They have changed their branding or their packaging, so they look kind of funny to me. I'm sure I'll get used to it pretty quick. This one is rosemary and olive oil flavor, so that's mostly for my guys' lunches, but who knows? Maybe I'll eat one or two. And we've got some Cheez-Its, and I got the extra toasty flavor, which is my favorite flavor. I like the slightly burnt pieces a lot. They're not my guy's favorite flavor. He wants one with more seasoning, pepper jack or nacho cheese or any of those, but I like the extra toasty, and that's what I got. And then finishing off that bag, we have not one, but two juicefuls. I couldn't decide which flavor I wanted. There is Island Splash. Looks like it's got some kiwi, papaya, pineapple kind of tropical flavors. And then this one's mixed fruit, so it has strawberries and peaches and orange. And I just decided to get both. We eat, my guy and I both like gummies a lot. It's the one candy type thing that when they're in the household, we consume really quickly. Other types of candies we're pretty good about. I had gotten a bulk bin bag of Andes candies, the little mints, right? It's about a pound's worth maybe. And that lasted us 4 or 5 months. It was in there forever. But these things, as soon as I open a box, I feel like it's gone. By the end of the week. Side note, I had braces, got them off, got a retainer. My I want to say original orthodontist, but that's not even true. The second to last orthodontist, which is a whole nother story, told me I only had to wear my retainer at night. So I started getting used to not wearing my retainer. And then I started to see some of the teeth reverting back to where they were. So I had to get another opinion. And the guy was just like, yeah, you just have to wear your retainer a lot more. So I pulled it out just for the video, but I think my tongue is still in like the retainer mode. Hopefully the random like soft sounds alleviate themselves here soon. Okay. Next up, we have these really cute mini donuts. How cute are those? They're adorable. And this is going to be for my guy's breakfast. I think my plan is I'm going to freeze half of them because he doesn't need a lot of donut in the morning. So I'll probably give him like 3 a day on the weekends. So that's 2 weekends worth of baby donuts. And then we have some Kind bars. This is the almond and coconut flavor, which is my absolute favorite flavor. I really like this style of, it's not really a granola bar. There's no granola in it, but I think of it as a granola bar. But protein bar, snack bar, it's my favorite kind of snack bar. I just wish they weren't so expensive. It was about $7 for this box. So you're paying about $1 per bar, which for a snack is actually high in this household. But sometimes you gotta get something that's a little good. Next up, we have some petite diced tomatoes. I will be making minestrone soup this week. I like to save all my kitchen scraps, and they are starting to overflow the freezer. So I'm gonna make a nice vegetable stock, and then I'm gonna turn that into a minestrone soup, and it'll use up all my kitchen scraps and give me some space back. Plus it's a nice healthy tasty soup. I'll probably serve it with grilled cheese because my husband likes something with a little more substance to it. He's getting better about eating soup as a main meal, but when I first met him, he was like, soup is not dinner. He has a lot of opinions about food. Okay, last but not least for this particular bag are some Hello Panda snacks. These are the strawberry flavored ones. So they've got a little strawberry cream in the center there. And that's just a one-off kind of snacky do to add variety into his lunches. Because I like to make sure that lunchtime isn't just sort of a boring, every day is the same kind of event, right? And he likes cold lunches. He doesn't want to eat leftovers or anything like that. He's kind of funny. He likes to, just have the lunch pail in his office. He doesn't even put it in the community fridge or anything. It's got an ice pack in it. And when it's lunchtime, he closes his office door and he's like, no peoples. So if you add a microwave or something into that mix, he'd have to go to the break room, and he doesn't want that. So I oblige. Uh-oh. This bag is trying to fall. They're always trying to fall. Okay. Next up, we've got some circus animal cookies. Those are also for my guy's lunches. He likes circus animal cookies, and I do too. Although, when they're in those individual packs like that, it's easier for me to resist them. So that's a good thing about those little packs, and they're easier to pack. The packs are easier to pack. I do feel guilty about the extra packaging, but that's just modern living, right? It's so hard to get away from, it's hard to be completely self-sustaining, no plastic kind of a household. It's just, you can do it. I've seen people do it, but it almost becomes an identity for the people who do it instead of just a thing that they do, right? Okay. Moving on. We have some snickerdoodle flavored cream pies. I hadn't really seen these before. Like, it's in line with some other Little Debbie snacks that I've seen, but just not this particular combination because it has like the little cinnamon sugar chunks in there. And my guy does like cinnamon, so I thought that would be a fun, new-ish treat to throw into his lunches. Following that, we've got some good old onions for just regular cooking things. I can't think. So I'm going to be making tacos this week and something else that needed onions. I'm not sure what. But, you know, onions last for quite a while if you keep them out of the sun. So they'll be good for when I need them. Next up, have some ginger. And this one is the one that has real sugar in there instead of the artificial sweeteners. Most grocery stores seem to carry one of two brands, and both of them have artificial sweeteners in them. And it doesn't matter what kind it is. I'm sorry. It could be monk fruit, it could be stevia, Splenda, you name it. It doesn't taste right, especially in the aftertaste, but even in the foretaste, it doesn't taste right. So, real sugar, that's the way to go. And what I like about shredded ginger like this is that, because it's such a sharp flavor, right? It's kind of overpowering. I feel like I need a nibble, but I don't really need food. Like, I don't need a meal. This kind of satisfies the urge because you take out a little sliver and you eat it, and it's just so impactful. So that is something I like to have on hand. I don't always, but hope springs eternal that I'll finally be a good girl and start losing weight. Okay. Next up, we have some of those flavor packets that I just never seem to get away from. They're useful. I don't know. I know they're a more expensive way to use spices, but I don't know. The blends of them just are different than what I get in the canisters. So, anyways, we have zesty herb and tomato, garlic, and basil. Two of my favorite marinades. Almost always get those if I'm going to get them. And then we have one lonely little mango. They're not quite in season yet, so I didn't get many. But this is my guy's favorite fruit for lunches. I always have to laugh. I'm like, of course it is. Because this is such an annoying fruit to cut. Even when you know all the tips and tricks and using a spoon and all the things. It's just an annoying fruit. But nothing beats a fresh mango. Like, I've tried the frozen and the jarred, and the flavor's there, but it throws off the texture. And my guy is a very big texture person. I think I can share this with you guys. It's not like you're going to run into him, probably, down the street. But my guy is actually on the spectrum just a little bit. Very high functioning. But it does create sort of a few situations where, now that I've known him and I've lived with him forever, it's easy to navigate, like texture things. But, for outsiders or people first learning to get to know him, he's just kind of quirky. And I've been so grateful because I finally got him in to see a counselor, which is when we finally got the official diagnosis. He's got a couple of little things. I'm not going to expand upon it too much. But because he understands a little bit more about why he is the way he is, he's getting better at articulating his own needs too. So it's been wonderful. We've been a happy couple for like ever. A decade anyways. But it's just so nice to see him starting to be comfortable in his own skin and to understand himself, because he didn't have that before. He had support, like I was supportive, and I learned all of these little quirks without knowing exactly what was the motivation behind them, right? So I was adjusting, but he just never felt the same. So, yeah, it's been quite a journey. Anyways, our next item, some good old hazelnuts. I plan on having some like fruit and yogurt in the mornings, and nuts, add a bit of protein and texture. Although this is texture for me. And it's just so hard to figure out which nut I want. Like, I can do sunflower seeds, but they're not my favorite. I find them a bit piney, I guess. Peanuts are the cheapest, but they're not a very good yogurt nut, in my opinion. Almonds are my favorite. Well, second favorite, really. But almonds are not a very sustainable nut. Like, I still buy them sometimes in things like almond coconut. But I try not to buy them by themselves because almonds are just, they are such a resource hog compared to many other foods that you can get. So it's like, what kind of nut do I want for my yogurt? And I settled on hazelnut, which in its nut form, it might be my favorite nut. It might be tied with almonds. But in dessert form, like you make that into a John Duya, I think it's called, is the type of chocolate. Oh my gosh, that is my favorite. I think it's called John Duya. Hazelnut chocolate, just not Nutella, like actual chocolate bar made with hazelnut butter. Ooh, love it. Love it so much. Okay, moving on. We have not one, but 2 cans of Great Northern beans. One of those is for my minestrone, and the other one is for the white bean chili, the ever-present classic white bean chili. I swear I make that at least once a month, if not twice. Next up, we have some good old-fashioned white bread. This is just the most generic, plain, store brand white bread, which is honestly kind of my favorite a lot of times. I love sourdough too, but like, I grew up on just really cheap white bread, and I tried to switch over to wheat a couple of different times, but it doesn't hit the right note for me. I really, I really want those refined carbs, apparently. But I knew I was going to make the minestrone and probably have grilled cheese with it. And I was like, I don't want wheat bread grilled cheese. So I got white bread. All right. Next up, we've got some English muffins, which I have confirmed with an actual Englishwoman. I'm not sure their gender. I didn't ask. I think it's a woman. But anyways, that English muffins are actually called English muffins in England. And that helps separate them from other types of muffins, just like we do. And I just thought that was kind of funny that, because like in the United States, we don't usually call things like the US muffin, right? Although there was an attempt for quite a while to get people to start using freedom fries instead of French fries. That was silly. But anyways, so English muffins, and I got the name brand this time. I think it was the last video you guys saw. But the last batch I bought of muffins was a generic store brand, which was like $3 cheaper. A lot cheaper. Oh my goodness. Usually you can't tell the difference between a store brand and the name brand in that situation. Yes, you could. And I would rather pay the extra money for this Thomas brand. This is just far superior of a muffin, an English style muffin. Okay. And then we have some zesty dill spears. I had made a attempt to eat some fancier pickles. I think that was also the last grocery trip. Food kind of blurs together for me because, I eat every day. So I tried the one that was like a higher quality of pickle, and they were good. They were like a little more crunchy, and it might have just been the brand, but they were on the sweet side. Like it was supposed to just be a dill pickle, not a sweet pickle, as far as maybe dill is sweet in some places. But those ones were more sweet than they were dill. And I don't know. I'd rather have a bit of bite to my pickles. So got some good old classic Vlasic brand here. And that's the zesty ones do have just a hint of spice. Like for my guy, it's like not even spicy. It's just flavorful. But I definitely know some people who would think that those are too hot. So spice is a very subjective thing. Okay, next up we have some gum Proaxa brushes. These are little in between your teeth cleaners. It's kind of like having a pipe cleaner for a flosser. I started using these when I had my braces, and I continue to use them because they're amazing. Because of the braces, I got used to cleaning my teeth all the time. And even though they're off now, they've been off for about a year, maybe a year and a couple of months. I still get kind of like triggered when there's food in between things. And these work way better than floss, in my opinion. They have a little plastic lid, so I use the same one for, like a week or so before I toss it out. But the moral of the story here is that I had a teeth cleaning not too long ago, and the hygienist had nothing but praise to say. When you get used to going to the dentist and they're like, oh, do you floss? And you go, oh, yeah, of course. And they look at you like, floss more. I don't have that problem. I get congratulated on how well I maintain my mouth. And I credit those little brushes. They are a bit plastic heavy, which is why I use the same one, like probably way more than I should, but meh. And then next up we have some shampoo for my guy. He likes the 2-in-1 Head and Shoulders kind of situation. And I'm the one that gets him the Old Spice swagger smell, which there is, Old Spice makes one called Kraken, and that's the I was going to say flavor. That's the smell that is in his deodorant. But the Kraken shampoo is not Head and Shoulders. It's just a regular 2-in-1, and that matters. Apparently he gets dandruff if he doesn't use that. I wouldn't really know because he's never, ever used not Head and Shoulders as his shampoo, which, goodness gracious, I wish I could get away with using the same shampoo over and over. It's time for me to switch because, I don't know, my hair just gets tired of shampoos or something because they'll seem wonderful for the first couple of weeks that I use them, and then I either get buildup or I get dry, or there's no... I am the Goldilocks of shampoos. Or my hair is, anyways. I do have some recommendations on shampoos I'm going to try next. They're just a little expensive. So hopefully my show goes really well and I feel rich at the end of this month. Okay. Next up, we have some good old bread flour here. Bread flour, for those who are uninitiated, has a higher protein gluten content than all-purpose flour, AP flour. And of course, you typically make bread with it. And I have actually gone through an entire thing about that size, making bread. I guess in the past 6 months or so, I used the little sourdough, yeasty mixed thing that doesn't make a real sourdough, but it's similar. And I was going to grab another one, just to be safe. And Winco didn't have any of the sourdough starters. So I'm hoping that was just a thing they were out of temporarily and not a thing that they've stopped carrying. Because I will be sad. I really love that little yeast packet. And then finishing off that bag is just a simple little container of honey. I made some cornbread the other day, the day before I went grocery shopping, and there was no honey left in the house. I had forgotten that I used it all for a dessert type thing, and I ended up sprinkling just regular granulated sugar. Like I buttered them and put sugar on them, and it was fine, but honey and cornbread is just such a classic combo. I felt a little remiss doing that, so had to get some honey. And then we've got one more bag, and you'll notice some of these are the yucky plastic bags. I actually remembered to bring bags. I really did, but not enough. That's the short version. My husband and I, my guy, we are down to one car right now, and it's fine for the most part, but waking up just to get him to work so then I can borrow the car in the middle of the day just throws off my groove a bit now. I've gotten overly used to sleeping longer. So I'm a little brain dead in the morning, and I remembered to grab the bags, and I was so proud of myself, but I grabbed like 3 bags. I thought there were more like stuffed inside each other. There was not. So plastic it was. And in this plastic bag we have, there we go, some teriyaki sauce. This is the garlic and green onion variant, which is my favorite. Has a lot more oomph. It's a bit more savory, right? It's still sweet because it's still a teriyaki, but not as cloyingly sweet. So that's a bonus for me. And we have another can of those petite diced tomatoes. I can't remember if I plan on putting both of those in the minestrone or not. When I make my list, I go through my recipes and the things I have recipes for anyways, and I just, tomatoes times 2. And sometimes I forget why. But I make notes on what I plan to make, so we'll get there eventually. And then we have some kidney beans. That is definitely for the minestrone, since it's a vegetable soup. Having 2 types of beans in it gives it a lot more protein and oomph, right? So we have some kosher salt. Big old container. Nice generic brand here. I don't think it's generic, but it's not Morton either. And then we have some mayonnaise. Been eating a fair amount of tuna fish. I've gone through most of my mayonnaise. And I have not seen the cat in like 2-3 months now. It's been a while. I bought these little tiny like cat snack things, and I was trying to figure out ways that I could sneak the cat some treats. Because like the neighbors can actually see me from my room, my apartment, the neighbors that have the cat. And I had all these plans in my head, and then I just didn't see the cat. Now granted, it's been winter for us in the Western Hemisphere here. So, the cat probably didn't want to be out in the snow, but we had some really nice days, and I still haven't seen the cat. But I know it has a good home now. So maybe they're just keeping it inside, which is healthier for kitties. So, less random strangers trying to give them treats. And I don't know why that reminded me, but I did want to mention, because a few people noticed that the plant that's usually right here hasn't been up here for the past couple of months. It does kind of make for a weird visual when I record, right? Because it's kind of almost like the plant comes out of my head, right? It sits right there. But the plant, and his name is Cathactus, is fine. There's a little glowy corner going on off to the side here. That is a LED glow light, and I bring him down from here to the dishwasher drawer, like the door of the dishwasher, so that he gets some extra sun. So he gets the LED, but it's, I don't know, it's not enough. And we have, if I were to open up the blinds, which would ruin the shot, we have a bit of an overhang. It's like an enclosed balcony. So all the best sunlight happens from like here to here, right? And, if you have a thing above the shelf, then it blocks it from the plant. So it's been really hard to give him the proper amount of sun. But I've been working on it. So he gets his sun bath snackies a couple of days a week. And that's where he is. He's down here. And, oof, big guy. He has been doing just fine. So all of this bright green that's kind of up top here, that's all new growth. He's really been enjoying his little sun baths. And why I started doing that, well, for one, I knew he was a succulent that really was full sunshine kind of a plant. And I just don't have full sunshine in the apartment. But I was noticing, you see all of this darker green down here. That's some older growth that grew down. It grew downwards because that's where there's more sunlight. Oof, go back. He's heavy. So I actually trimmed some of the overhanging branches and started putting him down there, and it's really encouraging him to get tall, but he's gotten too tall for the little LED lights that I have for him to help supplement his sunshine. So putting him down there, he gets some natural sun, or more natural sun, and I can move the grow lights to be above him a bit more, so he gets a more even distribution. So, long story short, Cathactus is doing fine. He is one of our many plant babies. And my guy is a big H.P. Lovecraft fan, so Cathactus is like Cthulhu. We have, let's see, one more in here. This little guy is my most recent love baby. Love plant. We get them on Valentine's Day, just to fill you in there. And this is Gnarlithatap. And he started out being like this big back in February, and he's going crazy. But he has a nice primo spot that actually gets sun. If he gets any bigger than he is right now, that spot's not going to seem so primo for him. So those are the woes of living in a tiny one-bedroom apartment. But we're gonna see. We're gonna make a small attempt this year to see if we can at least get like a 2-bedroom condo, or, heaven willing, a actual house. So maybe in like 6 months I'll have a new filming location. Probably not, but put positive vibes out in the universe. And then finishing off that bag, which is the last of the dry goods, or the shelf-stable goods anyways. This isn't really dry. Or is it considered dry goods? I don't know. I don't know how those things are defined. Okay. Anyways, we have some diced peaches. So this will add a bit of variety to the fruit that I put in my guy's lunch. He really likes green apples. That's like his favorite. But I've been attempting to go to the grocery store slightly less often. So it's good to have something shelf stable like this as a backup fruit, so to speak. And he likes peaches just fine, so it won't be too bad. We are now on to our refrigerator items. And first up are some mushrooms, which you know I have a love-hate relationship with mushrooms, but I keep eating them, so I guess it's more love than hate. And then we have we have a little party pack here that's got crackers and cheese and pepperoni, a little snack tray. I have been taking singing lessons, and it's been a mixed bag. Mostly it's been fun, but the teacher is persistent, and there are days where I just don't feel it. But anyways, I have a recital in less than a week. Oh my. So I'll get to sing in front of, my classmates and their family and friends, whoever they invite, plus my guy will be there, and my mother-in-law will be there this time. I'm a bit nervous. I think my first song I'm gonna nail. I feel really confident about my first song. And the last term that I took this class, you only sang one song, but we only had like 7 signups for this semester or term. They're not really a whole semester. They're only like 3 months long. And so the teacher was like, everybody should sing 2 songs. And my second song, I don't know, man. I should have just said no. I'm going to stick to 1. Because she did give us that option. I just was feeling braver a week ago. But anyways, all of that to say, there's a little reception afterwards, and I thought about making something fancy or nice, and I'm just not going to. Last term, one of the students brought her kids, and she has like 7 of them. There's a lot of kids. And another one also had little kids, although she didn't come back. But the one with the 7 kids, or no, it's 6 with 1 on the way. She's going to have 7 kids. It's too many kids. She brought them all to our recital last term. And they just like ran around and put their hands on everything, all the food, to the point where my guy was not comfortable eating from the little snack charcuterie thing that we had set up for the after party. The celebration, right? So that's a long way to say that since I knew she was also going to bring her kids again, I didn't feel motivated to make anything too fancy. If this gets all pawed up by a bunch of children, then I will live, because it was like $8 and no time on my part. So yeah, pepperoni and cheese. Do you guys want me to add? I've thought about trying to record. The sound quality on my phone is really terrible though, so I don't know about recording my performance or not. Maybe I'll add it to the end of a video. Probably not. Maybe. Okay, moving on. Here we have some bacon. Got the really big pack this time around. I got the last grocery trip. I got bacon. I had gotten the little odds and end pieces thing because it is just so much cheaper. And like every time that I get the cheaper odds and end pieces thing, I got really annoyed with it because it's really like they're really random pieces. And it's fine when you're chopping it up. Like if you're using it to like saute your vegetables in and things like that, perfectly fine. But for breakfast, long strips is where it's at. Usually I cut them in half, but strips is where it's at. So I got us $17 worth of bacon, almost $18. It was $17.82. It's funny to me how bacon is one of the most expensive meats that I can get, but like pork chops are kind of on the cheaper end. And my guy doesn't really care for pork chops, so I don't really buy them that often, but it's just one of those things. Anyways, moving on. We have some jalapenos. That is for, I know some of them are for the white bean chili, and the other half, oh yes, is for the tacos. I'll be making tacos this week. And speaking of tacos, we have some good old ground beef. And then finishing off this bag is some deviled egg potato salad, which was kind of a guilty pleasure buy for me. I really love this stuff. My husband can't stand it. And it's not really that healthy. Goodness gracious. So half a cup is 240 calories. And there's only 3 servings per container. I thought there'd be more than that. So, all right. But it has 14 grams of fat, 22 grams of carb, and 6 grams of protein. Plus some iron. It has 8% of your recommended daily allowance of iron and potassium. All right. I mean, it's not a health food, but actually not quite as bad as I was visualizing. And then I have one more cooler bag here, which is in the proper reusable bags. I told you I brought a few. But one more cooler bag here, and in it we have some sliced cheese. This is for the grilled cheese sandwiches, and I honestly really enjoy Colby Jack in a grilled cheese sandwich over cheddar. Like, cheddar's a fine cheese, but Colby Jack, I don't know. I like it better. I enjoy, because when I make grilled cheese, I'm the type of person that puts the butter on the outside and actually puts it in a pan to grill it. Whereas apparently that's not how some people make grilled cheese. But that's a whole nother story. We'll get into it a different day. I'm pretty sure I've had that story on this channel before. But anyways, and I like the sort of crispy of the butter and having it very mild, you know. And cheddar, just, you taste cheddar. With Colby Jack, it's more of like, there's a cheese note and there's a butter note. So that's my preference there. And speaking of butter notes, we have some salted butter right here. I go through so much butter. That's probably the main reason why I don't lose any weight. But butter makes everything so much more tasty. Okay. And we've got 2 of those little deli meat packs. These tiny little packs that are mostly salt. They're honestly almost as much salt as they are meat, it feels like. I love these things. Although I'm starting, I think, because I'm very cyclical, right? I'll like get into something and I'll eat a lot of it. And then I just kind of fall off for a bit. And then a year later, I'll be like, oh yeah, that thing. And then I'll eat a lot of it. I'm definitely on the downturn of these, which is probably for the best, because mechanically separated turkey plus salt is probably not what I should be eating a lot of. And then we have some basil. This will be for that minestrone soup that I keep mentioning. I do prefer the little tubes of like pre-cut basil. They keep in the refrigerator for like a month straight. They're wonderful. Winco doesn't carry those, and I was not about to go to another grocery store. So I just got the fresh basil, which honestly is probably a little bit better. no preservatives, right? And then we have our yogurt, one of my breakfast items, some good old-fashioned Greek yogurt. I like the traditional style, full-fat yogurt. And I know some people prefer things not taste so fatty, but when it comes to dairy, go full fat. That's my preference. I shouldn't tell other people what to do. But like yogurt, full fat. Milk, whole milk. Like the fat is what makes dairy so good. Plus, if it's full fat, they usually don't add that much sugar, right? Or as much because you're not compensating for the lack of the fat, right? And there's less lactose in it, which is technically also a sugar, but that's the natural sugar that's in milk. And lactose is what people are usually lactose intolerant, right? That's the part that gets them. Well, if you go high fat, there's less lactose. And additionally, something that people don't really realize is that skim milk and other skim products like that, they do go bad faster. Like when I buy a container of whole milk and I put it in the back of the fridge, it's still good a whole month later. Basically, the fats go rancid a lot slower than bacteria eating the lactose makes the milk rancid. So, that's my little rant for the day. And then finishing off that bag, we have some good old-fashioned baby carrots. We definitely go through a lot of carrots in this household. And then we do have one final bag, albeit quite a small little bag. And this is our freezer stuff. And first up, we have the little stuffed hash browns, which are such a guilty pleasure for me. It's a garbage food. You can taste, the cheese sauce and the sausage and whatnot. But sometimes that's just an itch you've got to scratch. So, stuffed hash browns. I'm not a big egg person. I want to be. I enjoy the flavor of eggs. I got the deviled egg potato salad. But if I eat too many of them, I don't know if I'm mildly allergic or what, but if it builds up in my system, I eat too many eggs in a row, I get sick. I get really sick. I can have them once in a while, so I'm weirded out. I don't know if it's psychosomatic or a legit thing that my tolerance goes down the more I eat it. I don't know. So anyways, that's a long way around to say most freezer breakfast options are no good for me. The breakfast burritos, eggs. Breakfast bowls, eggs. Jimmy Dean sandwich, egg. Although they do sometimes, I can sometimes find one that's only the sausage, but meh. So, but the stuffed hash browns, no eggs, delicious, love them. Okay. And then we have some five cheese Texas toast. That is the add-on that I buy just for my guy. When we have meals, he often needs there to be some sort of carb in the meal, and I don't always make one for both of us. So if it's a situation where, say, last night I made chicken and broccoli, right? And that's all that ended up on my plate. But on his plate, I'll pull out the freezer bread, whatever flavor I've gotten for the month, and that's what he gets. Sometimes it's garlic knots or sticks. A lot of times it's the Texas toast because they just cook up real easy. But that's how he gets his bread fix in. And then last but not least, some good old blueberries. A little while back, I had gotten some fresh blueberries that were a bit too tart for snacking, and I turned them into a compote. which just means that I threw it on the stove with a little bit of water and some sugar and boiled it for however long I deemed necessary. And it makes kind of like it's almost like a jelly, right? Like a quick jelly. And that was so delicious on my plain Greek yogurt that I like created a new craving. And blueberries were not cheap, the fresh ones, so I just got frozen ones. If I'm gonna boil them anyways, the texture doesn't matter as much. So I'm looking forward. It's gonna be blueberry hazelnut yogurts for me for breakfast when I'm not eating, stuffed hash browns. And that puts us at the end of the video. And you guys know I love to do shout outs at the end of the video. Who doesn't like to hear their name, right? But before I do like the specific names, I want to do a general shout out to those of you who follow me on Instagram. I know it's not everybody's jam, being on that social media is not for everyone. Not everybody is interested because it's my felted art. Not everybody's interested in little fluffy things, right? But some of you follow me and comment and heart. And, since I do this whole YouTube thing as a hobby, it's not a for profit thing. It's actually really useful for me to have some of you guys go and put feedback and stuff on the Instagram, because that is tied to my business, right? And it helps the algorithm when people comment on stuff or they heart stuff. And so this is just a special shout out for those of you who have the time and desire to do that. I know it's not for everybody. I'm not gonna be like, link in the bio below, do it now. I'm not I'm not there. But I do appreciate those of you who can do it and want to do it. And some of you, your usernames are close enough that I think I recognize you from your YouTube comments. But not everybody has the same username over there. So, but yes, thank you guys. Thank you for doing that. And then, of course, thank you to the people who comment on these videos, because you keep me going, right? We've discussed that before. So shout out to Hot Sauce 188, Kendra Tyson, Sharon Nelson, Max, Hannah Salvador, and Dulce Crystal. I've got a couple more here, but we won't go too crazy with all the names. But thank you guys for being a positive force in my life. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Nighty night.